Welcome to the panel, where two bootstrappers talk about building a better life and a better business. I'm Justin Jackson, the co-founder of Transistor.fm.
And I'm Brian Castle. I am creating things over at buildermethods.com.
Well, Chris will probably put this in the audio version too, but we have a little app that I vibe coded right before we started, which just shows we planned out the episode, all of our segments. Today we're going to talk about the Transistor Retreat, Builder Methods revenue, maybe a postmortem on that episode I did with John on Build Your SaaS, Agent OS competitors and hiring. We've allotted some time for each one. Right now we're in the introduction section and we've got 8 minutes left.
Yeah, and I just want to say, Justin sort of just sprung on me that you vibe coded this little app to manage these segments. We're both looking at a timer. I'm getting very stressed out about this timer happening right now. But yeah, this should be fun. I feel very unprepared, but here we go.
I mean, I like it. I like that. I mean, this probably doesn't fit with your form of planning as much as mine, but I love the just quickly. It's okay, hey, what are we going to talk about? Dun, 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 dun. Give it a time.
I mean, as I said, I would like to at least try some form of segments. This is cool that you have this now, But maybe between now and the next episode, we could start to throw in just random ideas. That would be good to talk about for 10 minutes.
You brought up a good idea, which is about this idea of having recurring segments as well. That's almost like another thing on top of this,
Yeah, and I feel like there's always a bunch of stuff that comes up throughout the week that I'll forget about by the time we get to Thursday. Mm-hmm. But if I can just chuck it into a card or something.
Yeah.
And then, what was that thing?
Yeah, then it's going. All right, well, let's move to the next segment. We'll see if this works. So this should just move us to the next thing on our list. Oh, it did.
Hey, it works.
So,
all right, so yeah, Transistor Retreat. So when did you get back?
We just got back on... That's a good question. It feels like we... The thing is, we did the retreat from Sunday to a Friday, but then Helen, Michael, and I stayed an extra 3 days to go to a podcast conference in Calgary. So the idea for this year was we'd get the whole team to fly into Calgary, and then we would drive to Banff, Canmore. We stayed in Canmore.
Amazing, by the way. We love going to national parks, and that's been I would love to get up to Canada and check out Banff.
Dude,
the photos and stuff that I've seen just look incredible.
It was so fun to. Maybe I can bring up some photos here in a second. We got some professional photos done. Actually, I could bring up just my
what
photos.
I'm always curious about with company retreats, and this is something I'm always very jealous of fellow bootstrapper friends who have these small companies with a small team with revenue that supports the idea of getting everyone together for these retreats once or twice or more a year.
Yeah.
So what I'm always curious about is what is the structure? How do you plan these things? What have you learned works well or doesn't work well in terms of just agenda, if you will?
I'll bring it all in, man. I'll bring it all in. Here, I could probably even show you a little bit of, let me pull up my agenda here too. So yeah, it was really fun. So John missed last year's retreat in San Francisco. So we had hired Michael Green, who's here in a bright pink sweater. He's always visible in every photo. And but John and Michael had never met. We had never had all of the team together, all six of us in one place.
That's cool.
So that was the big goal. It was also, I'm from Alberta. It's my home province. And I've always kind of wanted the team to come and see the Rockies and Banff and Lake Louise and Canmore. They're beautiful places that I grew up going to when I was a kid. They're kind of world renowned, like Helen on our team, who's from the UK, really wanted to see Lake Louise. So people had it on their bucket list anyway. And Michael and I actually drove. So we drove through the Rockies to get to Calgary to meet up with the team. And then we kind of backtracked back to Canmore.
Nice. How far is that from where you live?
That's about a 6-hour drive, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a whole day.
Yeah, it was a day. It was a day, but really great too.
So, like, what's the balance between hangouts, like outdoor activities, versus like business chatter or business activities?
Yeah, so this is actually really challenging because some folks on the team are like John really likes to get together and work, especially when John and I paired up initially. We would do these founder retreats, but they were really like times for him and I to focus, go heads down, and just like work side by side. Mm-hmm. And we've tried to replicate that with team retreats, and we realized it's just really hard to get work done, partly because we're always somewhere cool and you want to get out. You don't want to be inside all the time. Secondly, because you're basically making up for lost time. It's like, This is our only time to get together. And so we need to prioritize relationships, fun, experiences, all that stuff.
That's how I would think of it. Like that to me, it seems to be the most business value that you can get here is the hangout and the relationship building.
Yeah.
And a lot of that can happen like through activities too, like hiking or whatever.
Yeah.
But like also like if I were a part of this company, like I wouldn't get any work done, even if we're supposed to be working right now.
Yeah.
Like I when I work, I need to be alone in my studio. Like I'm
yes.
not like unless we're really like collaborating on something together. But yeah, to me it would be more about the FaceTime and hangouts and like I feel like I'm curious to know about are there any business conversation activities that you get to do because you're in person?
Yeah.
Like whatever, like strategic planning, vision for the year, whatever, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I really actually liked how we did it this year, which was, first day, everybody kind of gets up for breakfast. We have breakfast together. We drove out to Banff. We did a bunch of sightseeing in Banff. That's all these photos right here. We just walked around, saw these incredible falls, took a nice photo. Now, Jason got sick right about this point, so we were really thankful.
I only see the doc. I don't.
Oh, yeah, right here. Jason got sick right about this point, so we're really thankful that we had at least one nice team photo. But there we are in Banff, and so that was the first day. It was just kind of exploring Banff, get into Canmore. We stayed at this really cool place that was right on the main strip in Canmore. Mm-hmm. And so we were like, literally, you would walk out our front door. Here's a photo here. Nice. So front deck, back deck, and then this is Main Street out the front door here. Sweet. And so you want to go eat? It's right out there. There's like 10 restaurants. You want to go for beers? There's like 6 pubs. That part was so fun.
That's awesome.
The second day was all about, this is, I think, the part that other teams should copy, because we wanted to do something together, but like working and finding work time and all that. So what I did is, by this point, Jason's sick, which is really unfortunate. So he's in his room suffering. But I broke the remaining people into teams of 2. So John and Michael went off in one area. Helen and Josh went off in one area. And we basically just I asked them to explore what it was like to sign up as a new user in the app and then go through the whole process all the way to publishing your first episode and to pay special attention on what it was like to create an episode as a first-time user. Mm-hmm. So
I like how it's 2 different teams doing the same thing.
Yes. Yeah. And this part was really fun. So if Jason had been around, I would have had a partner as well. But just to see folks, here's, Josh and Helen are starting to discuss. They ended up doing it was really fun to see how the different teams did things. Like they actually created a whole slideshow and recorded an MP3, like they recorded their own trailer episode. And then we
Did you identify like common friction points?
Mm-hmm. So basically we all got, after probably 2 hours, this was 2 to 3 hours in the morning. So I asked them to like actually explore it. What do you notice about the process as a creator? How could this process be improved? How can we improve that first run experience, getting to that magical experience when you like get to publish an episode? And then using no code, drawings, illustrations, whatever, put together some sort of demo or list of ideas on how we could improve this process. So how can we improve the user experience of signing up for Transistor and publishing your first episode? And I said, you could also zoom in on just the episode creation page if that's what you want to do. Then after lunch, we all came back and sat around by the TV and had each team present on what they found, and then we discussed it. And this was so useful. Just to have, I think, first of all, people team up and get to work on something together. Second of all, to put themselves back in the position of being a creator, trying to inhabit that space of what it's like to be a new podcaster. And you're just coming, you have no idea when you're looking at a screen.
In the shoes of your customer, yeah.
You have no idea what's coming next. So every single thing that they have to make a decision on, there's anxiety. They're like, am I going to get to come back to this? Do I get to, like, is this permanent?
Yeah.
So we got to talk through all of those issues, really think about how to improve this process.
I think that is by far the hardest thing from a product standpoint. Even if you're scratching your own itch with your original product idea, once you have a lot of users and once you've been at it for a bunch of years, it's so weird how like the closer you are to your product, like the farther away you get from what it's actually like to use it.
Yeah. And so we spent a lot of time on the episode creation page. And first of all, this page has just gotten longer. It's gotten more complicated. For a new user, there's things that like don't make sense. Things like author and keywords have actually, I think, been deprecated by Apple Podcasts, so we don't really need them anymore. There's just so many ways we can improve this page. And the funny thing is, we might not actually even get to a lot of those things for a while. We have a big list of things we need to do. A whole like UX UI revamp is especially some of these ideas were so good, especially for that first user experience, like having a progress bar at the bottom of the screen that takes you through each phase of what you're doing so people can see how much progress they're making, but also where they're going to get to. These are all great ideas. Even if we don't get to implement them soon, it still felt worth doing. It was like...
Yeah, that seems like the kind of thing, even if it's not going to be an actual project that you ship like next month, it's still just the experience. It's like the memory of like what it was like to be in the shoes of a first-time customer. Like that's going to stick with everyone on all the different projects that they work on the rest of the year, right? Like, or when they're talking to someone on customer support, like they're going to have that extra level of empathy for what it's like, you know?
That's right. Yeah. So I really enjoyed this part. It was fun to see how the different, like Michael and John had a very different approach to Helen and Josh. It was just fun to have that kind of brainstorming collaboration. Everyone felt like it was worth doing.
Nice. Do you do any sort of like maybe like you and John sharing information with the team about your vision going forward, like topics or strategy planning stuff that like the rest of the team just might not be in the loop on most of the time?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. So let me go back here. And so the other thing that John and I did this year that I think we did better than past years is we really tried to set like what was going on with us and our intentions and our focus before the retreat. We met 3 or 4 times, and that was really helpful. So that was the first day, though. That was basically as much work as you're going to get done on a retreat. I found like that's it.
Yeah.
Actually, Chris Enns, the editor of this very podcast, while he was editing, I can't remember if it was this show or Build Your SaaS, he said, "Hey, would it be okay if I came and just like said hi to you guys?" Like he lives in Saskatoon. It's about a 7-hour drive. I said, cool. "Dude, come and stay with us. We have an extra bedroom." So he came and hung out with us. He arrived kind of around this time, and here's all of us kind of hanging out and talking.
Sweet.
So that was fun. The next day, we had, in the morning, we'd booked a photo shoot for the team. So we started this in Nashville. I really liked it. You hire a professional photographer. Other people on the team like it, they like it high or low, depending on what, but it has a few advantages. One, you just always have someone to take a bunch of photos of you. You get a bunch of new headshots. You get a bunch of new photos of the team.
Was that photo that you sent me? Was that
yes.
from the photographer?
Yeah.
So. I was like, that was one of the things I was wondering about. So you sent me this photo, like a week ago of your team, like, and you're all like laughing at the table at this breakfast restaurant or something. And I was like, that either looks staged or AI generated or like it's too perfect. It looks like it's from some like catalog for like a college campus or something.
Yeah. This is one of those photos too.
And I was wondering, like, who is taking that photo?
The other reason I like it, I mean, it's nice to get a bunch of photos of the team. And unfortunately, Jason's not in this one because he managed to be there for the morning photo shoot, but then he was just not feeling very well. That's the photographer there. What I like about it is that you get this other person that kind of comes into the team and they kind of disrupt things. They're setting up shots. They're like... They've got all sorts of tricks to get you to respond to the camera. At one point, she got John to throw a pancake at her. There's all sorts of hilarious photos of, this one here of she's like, wrestle each other. And so
John looks like a big dude.
I mean, if you actually see us, where's us side by side? He's slightly taller than me.
Okay.
He's like 5'9", I think.
That's always the weirdest thing with internet friends. You never know how tall people are.
I mean, the first time I met Helen, I think Helen is 5'10" or something like that. I was like, what is going on?
These photos. All right, we want you all to just play in the water.
Well, but this is what I'm talking about. You set up the opportunity for this. So this was like just happened. We were out in the water and we were taking photos around this lake. And then Michael goes out and then I go out and then Josh goes out. And now we're just playing, and she's getting us to do stuff like run towards her. She's getting us to jump up in the air. And it just creates more opportunities for play. Mm-hmm. And we went to this... Every time we've done this, well, we've only done it twice, but the photographer ends up taking us a bunch of cool spots. And so it just becomes another opportunity to do something as a team.
She knows the area.
Yeah, it's like a guided tour, basically.
I'm curious to know, like when you started, how far out do you plan these retreats, and how often do you do them? Once a year, or do you more than once?
Once a year. We probably
when you started planning it, did you have a main goal in mind, or was there a reason for like I think we're due for a retreat?
No, we have them every year around September. We've been doing this every single year, even since John and I were just doing it, the two of us. We found like I get the kids back to school, and then either mid to late September.
That's always a great time weather-wise too.
Yeah, it's still like, the leaves are just changing color in a lot of places. It was still warm every day. So we do it every September, and we start planning it like more seriously, basically 6 months out. Mm-hmm. And this year, Helen helped us a lot. She helped do a lot of the the planning. So she booked the photographer. She helped us book the lodge. We had a big upgrade. Usually John and I plan everything, and it was just so nice to have someone else on the team help plan it.
This was one of those things when I was doing audience ops, which at its height grew to about 25 people or so. But when I say 25 people, it was like 20, mostly contractors. But that was a weird team because it was contractors, but it was like everyday contractors who worked there for years. So, really walking that line between like what's a contractor and what's an employee. But but then there was always the other thing which is like, okay, we've got these 25, maybe 8 to 10 of them only really work on audience ops stuff like 1 day a week, and then the other 15 really work on stuff like 5 days a week. And they're a little bit more core and they're more management. And so like I always kicked around the idea of doing a retreat for that team. And we've had people all over the world, mostly in the US, some in Europe and stuff. And like, I never really got it to work where just like logistically it made sense to bring everyone into one location. Funny enough, the only time I did actually was, so we had like 20, like, I don't know, like 20 people or so in the US and Europe. And then we had like 5 people in the Philippines. And when I traveled to the Philippines, my wife has family there, so I go there every like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
So when I went there on a trip, I got the Philippines team together.
Oh, nice.
And we did like a dinner and stuff, and it was like funny because like basically like the only people I've ever met in person from the audience ops team are the people in the Philippines, and all the U.S. people I've only met like 1 or 2 of them. That's
yes, crazy. I mean the bigger the team, it definitely gets more difficult. Every time we get together, we do have this moment where we're all sitting around, and I say the same thing every year. It's just like, wow, it is so great for all of us to be together in one place. We don't take this for granted. We're so lucky that we get to do this work, but also that we've managed to all be here in the same place all together, and also acknowledging it does cost everybody something. Like they have to travel. Helen typically has to travel the furthest from the UK, but people with kids have to ask their spouse if their spouse can watch their kid for a week. There's a cost to it, and they're also expensive. I can't remember what this one cost us, but I'm guessing these things cost us 20 to 30 grand a year at least.
Yeah.
And
between the lodging and travel and all that.
Yeah. We also always feel like, man, it would be nice to do them more often. So it feels like once a year is bare minimum for a remote team. You just need FaceTime. You need relational time. You need to be building experiences together. You need to be knocking into each other in the hallway. You need to have just chance encounters where, somebody's in the hot tub and you go and join them, and then you end up having a great conversation. That stuff can only happen when you're in person. So
love it.
Yeah, it was really helpful. So that day after the photo shoot, the afternoon is kind of when John and I have our fireside chat where we talk about where we're headed, what we're thinking about strategically, where we see the industry, how, we're thinking in terms of, the direction of the company. We talked a little bit about our desire to take some time off this year, or in the next 12 months.
Did your episode with John, was that recorded before or after?
That was recorded before, yeah.
Okay.
So, and then they can ask questions if they want. It's also kind of about, we try to look at, from our perspective, what we see as kind of not working well and what we want to improve.
Any like big takeaways or learnings that you were kind of surprised or didn't expect to take away?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is, I talked about this on the episode as well, but leading a team is challenging, especially a small team when there's 2 co-founders. Because basically for us to set any direction, we first need to figure it out between John and I. And if we don't do that intentionally, frequently throughout the year, it just becomes hard. It's like, which direction are we going? So I was glad that John and I had done that before the retreat, and we had at least kind of nailed down. And even the morning of this day, him and I went for one more walk, and it was just like kind of going back and forth, figuring out, okay, what are we going to talk about? What do we both feel is important enough to discuss in this way? I think the second thing is that,
I mean, I'm curious to know like what you can share. I'm sure that obviously there's private stuff, but like,
I mean, I think one thing is just like any team, we've recognized that we often get excited during these retreats and we'll come up with a bunch of ideas, but actually implementing those ideas is tricky. Mm-hmm. So one was just, let's set some realistic expectations of what we're going to accomplish here. The second is we do want to get more projects across the finish line. And so what is causing us to not do that? And we've decided to implement a weekly product planning session that John, Jason, and I would kind of commit to basically getting things shaped up and into our project management software, and then also to like track if we're actually getting things across the finish line. Like, how can we keep things going, keep things moving, stay focused, and be ruthless. This was one thing that we really stood up. We need to be ruthless about our priorities because there's just not that much capacity. The capacity of a small team is small. And I've always felt like we actually are at peak capacity now, in the sense that if we added 5 more people, I actually don't think we'd be going any faster. Mm-hmm. I think our size of team is kind of peak capacity unless we decided to grow to 25 or 30 or something. I think there's a
or at least like the next the next level isn't one more person. The next level is probably like a doubling or a 2.5x of your team.
That's right.
And like adding and like breaking it up into sub teams and maybe adding a management level at some point. Like
yeah, exactly.
Interesting. The thing that like when it comes to shipping and like getting things across the finish line, for me, the way that I track that is very simple. It's like, how often am I able to make a public announcement of something new?
Yes.
Like launching a new feature. And so in like the Clarity Flow business, it's like how long between my next broadcast email that says like, hey, so like this week we launched language translation and it's been a while since we launched like a bit like something that's launchable. We're always shipping little improvements, but it doesn't warrant an email announcement.
Yeah.
So like for a SaaS business, it's like features that are big enough that deserve a dedicated email. How long between when I can actually press send on one of those?
Yeah.
And then like now with Builder Methods, it's like YouTube videos. So I published one yesterday, but I had a gap of like over 3 weeks or so without publishing. And it's like every day that pain or annoyance like just increases by a tick.
Yeah, you feel it. You feel like
I published one yesterday, so I'm good. But I know that like every day now for the next 2 or 3 weeks, if I don't publish something, it's gonna be like, I'm falling behind. That urgency.
So we also said, let's realistically, what's the short-term priority? Short-term priority is finishing this, basically a way for people to listen to private podcasts in Spotify, which has been requested for a long time. Spotify has a very unique way of doing it, so it requires a lot of custom software. We've been working on that for a while. That's the next goal, to get that out. That's the immediate goal. The goal after that is we'd really like to do I don't know if I can say who this is with, but there's an integration partner that has been really eager to make us their primary podcast hosting partner. And if we build this integration, I think they would open us up to a bunch new customers. And basically, they don't want to work with anyone else except for us right now. So if we got to take advantage of this, or it's going to slip by. And it's already been about a year that we've been sitting on it.
Ooh, yeah.
And then the final big thing for 2026 is video, is to at least, we're not committing to a full, I want something in beta that we can roll out to people who want to upgrade to a higher price plan that allows people to upload a video, have it distributed to Spotify, have it distributed to YouTube, and then also potentially as a bonus, have it distributed as RSS, as an HLS video stream in RSS.
That's cool.
We don't know if we can we don't know if we can sell that economically. We don't know we feel like there's a lot of demand, but part of our ruthless prioritization is thinking this has to be a big improvement for existing users and something that new users want, or this has to have the potential to be a really good bet for getting new users in the door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always that question with like new features. It's like, is this a conversion feature to bring in new people, or is this a retention feature to keep our customers happy, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we did that. We did a games night, which was really great. Oh, we had a chef come in and cook us a meal. That was really fun. We had a nice space for it.
With Big Snow, and Brad Tunar has been sort of taking over the organization of it, the east side, and we've had the same chef every year for the last 7 years, and he's incredible. He's from Montreal. He comes down to Vermont. Just incredible meals, and he does breakfasts and dinners for the whole week.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Here's a few shots from that night. We had just a really nice night. Some of us got dressed up, some of us didn't, but it was fun to just
that's fun.
Hang out and have like a 6-course meal. So that basically, we had 2 full days in Canmore. We've just finished our 2 full days. The next day, we got up early-ish, we checked out, and we then went to Lake Moraine and Lake Louise, which is that picturesque. It was so packed, but those are those classic photos of Lake Louise you've probably seen that are, and now this spot has been ruined by Instagram. It's just, it was so packed. The pictures don't do it justice. I think there was like at least 1,000 people here. It was so many people. Yeah, it was like those photos of waiting to get up Everest, It was like that up and down the viewpoint. It was just wild.
That is a bummer when like these huge tourist spots get like that. Like, and like one of my favorite parks, just like views wise and everything, is like Yosemite. But when you go there, the crowds are just so insane,
Yeah, the crowds not always super fun, but it was still nice to go. It was a lot of driving. We had to get on a tour bus to go to these places, but whenever I look at the photos again, even like this was a long day. It was a long drive in the bus. We got out there. It was a long day.
That's part of it. It's like you're doing a road trip.
We're just hanging out. And unfortunately, Jason went home early at this point. He was really not feeling good. But we got a nice photo here at Chateau Lake Louise. And then we drove back to Calgary, stayed in a hotel there, had a really nice dinner in Calgary. And then the following morning, the people who weren't attending this conference left. So that was kind of the whole retreat. That was the whole thing.
So the retreat checkbox is checked until the next one.
That's right. Yeah. Another idea we came up with that I thought was really great was we'd like to, because John really likes these work sessions, and what I realize is we just need to have sometimes like some hack weeks where just a few of us go into a spot and say, we're going to work on this one specific thing together and getting it out. And that's the focus of this trip. I think being really deliberate about the focus. Team retreat, it's for hangout time. It's for dinners. It's for, walking around together, enjoying a place together, building memories. connecting. The purpose of these hack weeks, I think, will be we're going to just get some serious work done. So, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, see, I always have a hard time picturing any serious work getting done. Like in terms, like I would see it as an in-person retreat, environment shift, and like vibe shift would be it would have a slowing effect. Like me, and I feel like other individual contributors would be faster working alone at home in their studio. But the in-person stuff is not only for the relationships and memories and all that, but also like more strategic planning, like especially for like you and John. I'm sure it's a chance to like we're here. Let's talk big picture.
I mean, we've done that as a founder retreat before, and I think that has a lot of value too. And it's just nice to have these kind of distinct units of here's what this trip is for.
Cool.
So yeah,
it looks beautiful out there.
How are we doing on our timer? This says, have I only been going 6 minutes? Is this timer
No way.
wrong?
I was thinking that you probably blew past your timer, but I wasn't going to call it out.
Is this timer just going really slow?
I wonder if the timer is on a loop. I think we might be on our second or third cycle on that one.
No, because after it's finished your time slot, it's supposed to automatically go to the next segment. So
I'd be surprised if that was only 6 minutes.
was anyone in chat actually timing us?
I mean, it's 10 after 4 here. We must have been going for at least like an hour.
All right, let's move to the next segment. Let's see if this works. Bing. All right, you're on.
All right, 19 minutes. All right. So yeah, Builder Methods. I think I talked about how I was launching. So I had the paid workshop that happened about 2 weeks ago, and I ended up selling about 100 tickets for 25 each. And I think most of those attended live. Yeah, pretty good. And then on that day, on the workshop is when I opened the doors to Builder Methods Pro, which is like the new membership offering. I'm thinking of it as like the flagship product that I'm doing from Builder Methods. And the presentation was okay. So like the normal pricing for Builder Methods Pro is $299 a year. It's an annual subscription fee to be a member. The first 50 members are considered founding members. Yeah. And they get it for like 34% off. So they get it like $197 a year lifetime.
Okay.
Right? Those 50 seats have all sold out. And like 30 of them sold on the day or two of the workshop. Another 10 later that week, and then a few more the week after. So it actually went past 50. So like it got up to like 55, and then the coupon expired. So then so as of now, I switched it to it's like you're no longer a founding member. But it is still sort of like early access. Like you get access to this Discord community. I have not started creating like any educational material in there, so it's still I feel wrong about charging full price for it because it's very far away.
It's still developing, yeah.
It's still very much in development. So you do get the same discount for the first year now.
Okay.
So as of today, it's above 60 members. It's like 65 members or something.
Okay, hold on. We got to pause here.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, you did a workshop with about 100 people signed up, maybe 70, 80 showed up at the workshop or something like that?
Yeah.
Wow,
so.
Okay. And then, by the way, how did that go?
That was good. Yeah. My voice was shot after it. I was more nervous about like tech issues. I was running Zoom and like it's just been a really long time since I've done a live workshop presentation where, because I have to also show slides and manage a chat and all just myself. I don't have like a producer with me or anything like that. So, but all that went smooth. I did a bunch of test runs beforehand and that was fine.
Pascal said Brian did well.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you, Pascal. So I think that was good. I spent a lot of time on the slide deck, which is good because now that's like a template for future workshops. I'll tweak slides and stuff, but The workshop went well.
What was the vibe? Like, were people asking questions? Was there?
Yeah, a lot of questions.
Okay.
Yeah, and I collected a lot of questions beforehand, so I had a lot to work off of. But then, I had a ton of questions on it. A lot of questions about Agent OS.
Yeah. Wow, that's so valuable, Brian. Like, you just got a supercharged injection of like customer feedback, research, desires. Like, it. Yeah. It's all kind of in there. Was there anything big that you noticed, like in the discussion?
It's hard to tell because I think one of the challenges is that they're so varied. Like the people are coming from different. People are resonating with this general topic, but they're resonating with it in different ways. Right? There's the individual developers, there's the team leaders, there's the non-technical trying to go beyond vibe coding and get a little bit more serious, and it's just like everything in between. And then there's a big contingent of people who are pretty much just here for Agent OS, like access to the creator of Agent OS, access to support to ask questions for it.
Yeah.
But then there's also just people who are like, they might be interested in Agent OS, but they just want to be up on the topic of building with AI.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean. I also think that I always have a pessimistic view. I think like a healthy pessimism about things. Like,
is that a show title? A healthy pessimism?
Well, I do think that there was some pent up demand for something like this, right? Like I've been building up the email list. And I'm continuing to build it up. Like people come into it every day. But this was the very first workshop. So I think that like anyone who is waiting for some kind of workshop is going to buy the first one. The question is like when I do a second one, maybe in October or something, like what are the numbers going to be on that? Are there going to be people who just buy access to both or repeat it? Or of course, if you're a member now, if you're in Pro, that's one of the benefits. You get free access to future workshops.
Yeah.
But for non-members, you would pay for a ticket. So the real question going forward from a funnel standpoint is like, how can I get new people?
Yeah.
I know how, like it's YouTube into the email list, and hopefully you've discovered me for the first time since my last workshop. So my next one is going to be the first one you see for you, right?
Yeah.
And so that's going to be the repeatable, ongoing funnel, if you will.
You know, I loved this. We actually built a version of this as a side project. I love this idea of progress bars. And I love this idea of like a waiting list where it grows until it gets to a certain number and then something happens. So it's like, hey, everybody, join my email list. When the waiting list gets to 500 people, I will announce the next workshop and open it up again. And then there's this like idea of like, we're just trying to build this up. And then once it gets here, that's an indicator that, okay, now we can run the workshop again.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. And also, like again, like that, like what is it that people are buying? What is convincing them to buy now rather than just hold out? And I was a little bit afraid that like, okay, it was the founding member deal, and once I sell through those 50 spots, I'm not going to sell anymore. But I've been, pleasantly seeing that like in the last couple of days and today and yesterday, like people are still buying the Pro membership.
Wow.
I'm still offering that discount for year one now. It's just you don't get it for life anymore.
Okay, let's talk about that part. You've sold 60 of these annual membership subscriptions?
Annual subscriptions, yep.
I mean, how does that land for you? That
so at
seems
this point,
pretty...
it's above 1K MRR now, technically, on the Stripe dashboard.
Do we have confetti in here? I don't think I do.
It feels good. It's interesting. It's interesting because it's like there are more customers than that on Clarity Flow, but not a lot more.
Yeah.
And this grew to that number in a week. So that's an interesting tidbit.
And how did that land for you? How did that feel to have that? How does it resonating for you right now?
It feels good. Like I'm definitely pretty thrilled with what I'm seeing. It's not a viable business that can support my full income yet, of course, but it has the it gives me the confidence to keep pushing, to keep going.
Yeah.
Like I'm on the right track. I'm on to something here. So that's reassuring.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if I'm honest, like the thing that I get stressed out of now, it's like a new kind of stress. I'm always stressed about something. So, so the new stress now is it's less about. So I did a private podcast on my thing talking about this, but the before launch, before you get your first paying customers, most of the stress is like open questions.
Yeah.
Like, should I price it at this, or should I sell this type of product versus that type of product, or who is my target customer, or how am I going to market this? Right?
Is
like,
anybody going to show up?
Questions.
All that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Is this even going to work? So all these what ifs, right?
Yeah.
So that can be stressful in itself. Okay.
Yeah.
So now we get into revenue land, and now we have paying customers. There's activity. We have members. So now it's about projects and priorities and things to ship. We were talking about like, so now it's just the competing. Every day there's a competing priority, and there are big problems that have to be solved, and some of them are sort of like urgent and like time sensitive, right? Like,
give me an example. What's an urgent project?
Well, right now, the things that are like on my mind, like today, if it was possible to clone myself 3, 4, 5 times, I would want to be working on all these things, which is shipping Agent OS 2.0, shipping or creating some new content just for the members, like educational content. I did do a behind the scenes video last week to give them like a preview of Agent OS, to give them something new. And I'm in the Discord. I've got the Discord going, but I haven't actually created any like official training material that you get with Builder Methods Pro. Okay, so then there's other things going on. Like YouTube has to keep going. Like that train is the funnel. That is the top of funnel. So I said I haven't published something in 3 weeks. I finally spent 2 days yesterday, this week, recording and editing myself the next video, and I released that yesterday, which means those are like 2 full days that I couldn't work on anything else.
Yeah.
Right? And then I've been looking to hire a video editor to help me with that video production process. I did interview 2 people. And the next step is to give them test videos, but I still need to record those test videos to give them, right?
Yeah.
So there's that. I feel like there's still like other stuff on the list too. There's like, I mean, there's other stuff that would come later, which is like optimizing the email funnels, promoting the next workshop, whatever that's going to be. I was talking about that newsletter lab tool. That has been on pause essentially because Agent OS 2.0 and getting members getting revenue into this.
Yeah.
So I did start doing the weekly newsletter, but I'm doing it basically manually right now. But I still want to finish that project because I still think it's going to, optimize, improve my workflow.
Yeah.
But that's not as urgent, I would say. Yeah, but like one of the I would say the big urgent thing that I'm actively deep in right now is Agent OS 2.0, and that might seem like, well, just keep pushing on 1.0 and 2.0 will come along, but I see it more as an urgent thing because 2.0 changes everything in terms of the architecture of this product, and for good reason. I would say it makes it much better at what at the promise of what Agent OS does. Much more reliable. It leverages sub agents. It has a mode for non. It's also more customizable for teams.
Okay.
That's the other thing. I had another sales call with a very large team, like a 500 plus engineer team. And they're expecting a proposal from me. like I have to do that at some point. For like a private workshop engagement with them on AI.
What's so funny about all this is there's this mix of feelings which I know so well, which is on one hand it's like that vulnerability you have before you launch something is one of the most vulnerable places you can be, which is I'm about to launch this thing. if nobody shows up, that will just be devastating, you know? And so that alone, a lot of people have a hard time getting over that threshold, right? It's like, that is too much. But then you get over that threshold, and then there's all these subsequent thoughts. Like, obviously one thought is, can I do that again? Like, sure, that got a good response, but can I do that again?
You know, I hear what you're saying. I think you're probably right that most people sort of stress over, like, is anyone going to buy this? Am I going to even get one customer? That actually doesn't bother me too much.
Yeah.
I don't get hung up on that kind of thing. Sometimes I wish something would totally flop.
Yeah.
Because
it's
it would
such a
be
clear signal.
It's a clear signal. It's like, okay, I can just move on.
Yeah.
But
totally agree.
You know what actually does get to me in a way that like might be a little bit unhealthy is now that I have this thing out in the world, especially Agent OS, but also like Builder Methods Pro now and the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
There's a lot of inbound. Every single day I'm getting inbound. And that comes in the form of support questions, feature requests, integration requests, requests for YouTube content, questions on my YouTube channel. I don't want those to go unanswered. Now I have paying members in a Discord, and there's inbound over there. And so, and then of course just my email inbox, and then actual like business leads, like teams of 500 engineers that want to hire me to do an AI workshop. So it's always a question of like anyone who's ever worked with me before knows that I'm extremely responsive. I generally try not to let emails go unanswered.
Yeah.
Or, you know, or any message go unanswered, right?
Yeah.
But I am in a position now where I cannot answer everything.
There's too much.
Like there's just no physical way that I can, there's just a lot of messages that I receive that my default has to be like, I have to just ghost this one. I can't actually reply. And that doesn't sit well with me. I don't like that. But,
Yeah.
you know,
managing inbound. You know, the funny thing is that for Transistor, so much of our inbound came through our live chat app and our support email. And I definitely felt it. I mean, those first 3 years, I really felt it. And it wasn't until we hired Michael, and that's only been about a year in the North American time zone. So all of a sudden, all that inbound, somebody else is taking care of it for me. And man, you really do feel it. Once you don't have, once someone else is managing that channel, I still get inbound, but now it just feels like it's so much more manageable. But when you're just getting like waterboarded with messages.
Totally. And by the way, I still have like at least 20% of my time, there's Clarity Flow, and most of that is Clarity Flow support that comes to my inbox. And then I've got a client who I have to like deliver something every week. So it's like, it's all this. And so, you know, I tend to prioritize paying customers, obviously. Like if you're a paying customer, and especially if you're a client or if you're a lead for becoming a big client, like I'm obviously gonna respond to your email.
Yeah.
You know, but
you could message
with
that
like,
too. You could indicate that with some sort of communication or message to say, you know, folks in Builder Methods Pro get my first attention, or whatever.
That's like what I have on the sales page. It's like, it's the official support channel for Agent OS. You got to be a member in there, and but I also see getting to the point where I could release Agent OS 2.0 as a big relief to some of that. Because right now, every single day, I'm answering questions by saying, oh, that's going to be fixed in 2.0. That thing you're asking about, yeah, that's totally solved in 2.0. Don't worry, that's coming in 2.0. Like it's getting to the point where it's annoying me to keep saying that.
Yeah.
And what I need is focused multiple hours of blocks of quiet time to work on it, you know?
I mean, Caleb Porzio, it sounds like the way he deals with this is now he has somebody help him with the inbound. And yeah, it seems like whenever people get to it, from the people I've talked to, and I mean, this was my experience with Transistor as well. Like, it's just those first years, it's just shitty because you're just being overwhelmed. You're getting pulled in a million different directions. You can't answer everything. And I think this is even more true for open source projects. It's just hell. And then eventually the business is at a point where you can have someone else deal with the fire hose. That's their job. And then it gives you space to do this other thing.
And also what I try to do, and this, this is obviously like a creator-led and like audience-based type of business. So there's always going to be this element of like just inbound comments and questions coming in, right? Like I understand that. But I think the thing that I try to stay focused on to overcome it is that like what I put out there publicly on like in YouTube videos, or the documentation around Agent OS, I try to put as much effort and clarity as I possibly can into that stuff, so that like even if you can't get a direct answer from me all the time, like the stuff that I put out there on, in public, is quality. And it's also what really frustrates me, especially with like open source projects, but even like paid products. Like what really frustrates me is when the company does not put effort into their self-serve documentation, or it's like guys, I don't want to bug you with support questions, so just put an extra hour or two into making your docs best in class. Like it's one of the things I've always admired so much about Atom and Tailwind is I think it's like the gold standard of docs. It's just like most, like 99% of questions are answered in those docs, if you're willing to just read them. So that's something that I really care about. I think is really important. And look, it's easier than like technical docs. It is easier than ever to get them done right. Like I've started having AI build them, and like I'll put the doc drafts in the code base for Agent OS, even though it'll end up being on the site as on like a separate website. I'm putting them in the code base, so when I'm working with Claude Code to build the thing, it can also know what it's built, so then update the docs.
That would be a cool workshop, actually. How to get AI to help you write docs. That would be, I think, pretty popular. Yeah, man. Wow. Well, congrats on getting 60 paying members. That just seems like a great start. I mean,
it's something.
That's awesome.
I am still interested in the Teams thing. I know I'm gonna continue to have inbound. I had a great call with these. They're a SaaS company and a pretty well-known one, and pretty huge. They've got a team of 500, and it's so interesting to me to talk to these team leaders and CEOs and CTOs, because so many teams are struggling with the exact same things.
Interesting.
And even like a team of 20 is having the same challenges that a team of 500 is having right now.
Dude, this is what I love about customer research and customer development and taking those calls is it feels like you get this secret insight into a problem that nobody else has. And so you're just sitting on that knowledge right now. You got to figure out what to do with it, but
I have
pretty
one
good.
Of the insights that I'm, and this even came up on the call, because the package that I'm putting together for teams who want to like have like a private consultation it's a private workshop. Like I'll put on a private workshop for your team, plus like an async. Well, there would be like a coaching session for the leadership team. You get a private workshop, and then an async 1 or 2 week window where anyone on your team, after they've watched the workshop, they can submit a question to pick my brain about it. And the workshop is largely built around like implementing Agent OS with your team and some other best practices, right? But one of the patterns that I've found in talking to teams is that like the big challenge is that they all struggle to get their teams to adopt AI, and there's a lot of grumbling, and there's a lot, like I even heard them say like most people on their team are still going to Google and Stack Overflow, and that blew my mind. I was like, how how are you going to Stack Overflow anymore?
Yeah.
I haven't touched it in 2 years, just, and I think that there are a lot of, especially employees at companies, like developer employees, who just don't have the time or bandwidth to really even play with Claude Code or Cursor or, or Codex or any of these, or let alone like spec-driven development or Agent OS or anything like that. So
yeah.
But then there's like 10%. Am I 5, 4, 3, 2?
I just want to see if it goes over
the timer.
Yes, it works.
Okay. All right. You can cut me off.
Oh man, that was amazing.
Yeah. Anyway, there's just real quick to finish that thought. There's like 5% of team members who are like the power users. So it's like if I could help train them on how to disseminate to the rest of their team,
dude,
the workflows. That's an interesting pattern.
Great opportunity. That's awesome. You've got another 15-minute segment coming up for Agent OS, so we can come back to it.
Yeah, that's actually more of a smaller thing, but more about competition in general. So we'll get into that. But I want to ask you, because I did listen to your episode on Build Your SaaS podcast with John. It was great to hear. I don't know John personally, but it was great to hear him back on the mic with you. And I thought it was a really good listen. I definitely recommend people check it out if you haven't. I'm trying to remember back some of the questions that I had on my mind while I was listening to you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely expressed in that there was some things that him and I had been talking about privately that the big one was, I think, exploring a few kind of things we've noticed over the past few years. And one is just, I had that conversation with Jason Cohen and, how to get what you want, his framework for how to get what you want. And he said, you've been doing this 8 years almost. And this is usually the time where founders need a break, and founders need to figure out what they want to do next. And that might mean, what do we want to do next within the company? What do we want to do next in my personal life? What do I want to do next in this industry? What do I want to do next in terms of my next project? It could be all sorts of things. But he said the only way to really get there is you need to have some periods of break and time completely unplugged off work. And here's where John and I are similar, which this is what I think one reason we work so well together is we like to work. We've been from our earliest of 20s, we have been cranking this wheel on our own projects and business, and keeping these things going requires us that every day we get up and we crank this wheel. Even with help, it's gotten more calm, but the responsibility for it is always there. You're always plugged in. You're always kind of wondering what's going on. And it does, as a leader, you are the kind of spark that kicks off something happening. And you're the one that also keeps things moving. You're the one that keeps things on the right track and make sure that we don't go too far off the track. You're the one that's setting the vision. You're the one that's working towards the vision. You're just responsible for a lot of stuff. So and you're having to consume some sort of fire hose of information and also putting out some form of effort, which I've kind of imagined as cranking this wheel. And that can eventually, I think, lead to a point where you're just cranking the wheel and then you're going, wait, hold on. What am I cranking this wheel for? Is this getting me the results that I want? Is this taking me where I want to go? What do I want now? When I started this company, I was, how old was I? 38. Now I'm 45. When I started this company, I had 4 kids at home. I was in a different house. There's just lots that's changed. And
What I was curious about listening to you guys was, and I heard all of those same thoughts from you on that episode. I was a little bit unclear on where John sits with all that. Are you guys kind of in the same place mentally with that sort of like, been at this a while? What are we building towards? Where's this going?
I think his is different. And the cadence with John and I is usually, I am kind of the pokey spear that gets a conversation going. And usually I'll say, here's what's been on my mind. But then I know it's going to take him a while to process it, think about it, and then kind of talk about what he thinks.
Sure.
So he just moved. Right before his move, he did this big 6-week road trip across the United States. And he wasn't completely unplugged, but I think he felt like he had a good kind of trip and a good break. And he's feeling right now like he probably wouldn't take a bigger break until the new year. So that's one thing. The second thing is, I think we're both, I don't know if either of us knows what we want. But
that's the interesting question, right? Because I've always been, or in the last couple of years, been working out of this sense of urgency. When I just talked about a minute ago about all the different competing priorities, like I don't want to be working on all those things. Like I do in general, but I don't want to have to work on them at the same time. I'd be much happier if I could just spread them out throughout the year, because I don't have the sense of urgency. But I do have that urgency because I need to get this business to a point that you have, which is like, we have this steady state where it's, you want to ship things, but if a feature takes a couple months to get out the door, like that's fine. You still have a great business. You know?
Yeah.
And so that is an interesting question. I guess it comes down to like how much. I feel like a sabbatical is good, a good idea, no matter what you end up doing.
I think that's what Jason was saying, and these questions are not easy questions to answer. I think the important thing is that I was feeling something, and that some sort of I'm not happy, and and not in the sense of like I'm really dissatisfied or I'm it's nothing like. But just feeling like, like I'm feeling, maybe happy's not even the right word, but I'm just like, I'm feeling something. And feelings are also, don't always last forever either. They go up and down. They often depend on, what context and what if all of a sudden every industry in the world is sucking except for podcasting, I might just be more like, oh man, I just gotta be thankful for what we got here. But there's some sort of yearning, I think, that was interested that I wanted to explore. And once I had that conversation with Jason, I just realized, like John and I need to be checking in with each other all the time because we actually just did this the year before. We had to check in and going, hey, what do you want now? Like, what are you happy with where we're going? Where are we going? What's our goal? Is our goal to like build this to, $25 million in revenue every year? Or are we happy just kind of clipping along where we are? Do you want to build something else? Do you want to just chill? You want to retire at 55? Like, have you had, and usually the response will be, man, I don't know yet. But now that I'm kicking off those thoughts, it's like interesting to think about how you might answer it.
Yeah, it does. So just on the sabbatical idea, I think not only would it result in like space to go explore new ideas or just see where you're at personally, but it's also a chance to test and for you to learn, like, let's see what happens with my business when I'm not there.
Yeah.
Like, what does it mean for Transistor to run without Justin in the office, in the quote unquote remote office for weeks on end?
Yeah.
Right. And I think just that realization of what, first of all, that yes, of course your business is gonna be just fine without you. But also like, I think that can open the door to like, it might, like that fact alone might even re-energize you for years to keep going on Transistor.
Yeah.
Knowing that like that you could take a sabbatical anytime, or you could push down to part-time effort if you wanted to at periods, or you could take trips whenever. Like that could be just like an interesting byproduct of like the sabbatical itself could be great, but the realization of what do you actually have in Transistor that it can run without you, like that could be pretty big as well.
Yeah. And so that is true, because Jason talked about that too. And at the same time, he said, it's true that you could actually, you could probably take a break for a year. But he said there would be a lot of stuff that wouldn't happen in that year where you would notice it, maybe not in that first year, but you would notice it in year 2 or year 3 or year 4. So there's this both and, which is, in one sense, we got a team of 6 people. Both John and I should both be able to take off an extended period of time, and it should, especially having a co-founder to run all the admin and other things that we do, they can do that. It's great. On the other hand, there's this recognition that I think I have a certain momentum, and a company also has a certain momentum where you're investing time and energy and resources. I'm just in motion. And I've been thinking a lot about that motion applied in this direction might get a certain output. And I think we've realized what that is in podcasting. So it's like you have to kind of, I don't know how to operate unless I'm operating kind of up here. And so if I'm operating up here and I'm working hard and I'm pushing forward, but the results are iterative, which is where the podcast industry is now. It's a mature industry. It's growing about 15% a year. Is there another direction where you could apply that same momentum, effort, energy, and get a different result? And it's interesting for me to think about that.
I feel like if you think about like the world where you are committed to Transistor, like your role in Transistor, even if that means like you'll do a sabbatical every year, or you'll ease off on your actual work hours, but still you're in your seat, you're in your role as I don't know if you guys do titles or whatever, but like you're very involved. It's not like you're going to step away and hire a CEO or anything like that, right? I mean that could be an option at some point, but I'm just saying let's live in the world for a second where it's like you are still doing what you're doing for several more years. Yeah. Then it's sort of a question of like, okay, what is it are we actually building? Is it like, is the goal to hit some growth target, like financial, like double, triple revenue, whatever that looks like? Or is it like, we're happy with our current growth rate. We expect to, we're calm, we're bootstrapped. We're not on this rocket ship trajectory that VC backed companies are expected to be on. So we should be happy with our steady state growth rate that we have, right? So maybe given that, a financial growth target is not the thing. Maybe it's like, maybe, you're going to overhaul the UX, the UI of the product. It might not be like a groundbreaking new product, but it could be the best in the industry podcasting experience. Like, and really go deep on like the craft of making the best possible product. I think that could be motivating for us, because that's the other tricky part about this, is that not only do I individually have to figure out what I want and what's motivating for me, I then have to, John also has to do that as well. That alone is a lot to ask. Then him and I have to reconcile that together, and then both be committed to helping the other person get what they want. Then we have to take it to the team, and we have to figure out what is going to motivate each individual on the team to continue to do their best work. And that is a lot to figure out. I think we're up for the challenge. I think it will get easier the more that I can personally, and then with John, figure out what do we want individually, how do we combine that into a common vision, and then how do we translate that into something that excites the whole team in terms of us committing to it for the next little while.
So
I do know like people who are co-founders and run like well-established SaaS companies for many years, and I've seen them go through these similar cycles, and I've seen a few different. I have seen like the sabbatical playbook happen.
Okay, yeah,
which has had like very good results, but also like at one point in the history of this one SaaS company I'm thinking of, it's like they did decide to do a second product, or like a same company but like related second, like cross sell to a second product.
Okay, how did that work out? Because I'm always
I
curious
mean,
about that.
it like doubled and tripled their revenue.
Okay, because
like,
normally what you hear is the second product doesn't do as well as the first product.
No, it was like an obvious. It was like their customers are telling them like, all right, you solved this one problem, now we want you to solve this second problem.
Oh, nice.
And their revenues has that was their what I was going to say was like, if you decide that growth, like a significant trajectory change in growth is the thing that you want to go for, like, yeah, you could push on maybe some new marketing and branding ideas, and that might result in some growth. But I feel like for a well-established product like yours and the industry that you're in, probably the biggest impact is like figuring out what the most obvious adjacent product to sell to your existing audience is. And then it's almost like you're back to startup mode, and yeah, like you're in it, your team's going to be in it. It's more energy required, more hours, but you do have the advantage of being Transistor FM. Right?
Yeah,
like you have that built-in advantage of like, yes, the product might be sort of a startup, but you have the customer base as long as you're selling something that they still need. That's another play. And then, I mean, yeah, I'm curious to know like if that's something that you ever when you say like something is like itching at you, like is it like this
I think
desire to start something?
I think a lot of it was this realization that most of the greenfield opportunity in podcasting, I think, has been captured. I think we entered the market at a good time when there was lots of market to gobble up, and we grew really fast, and then we kind of hit the natural constraints of the market, and now we're just growing along with the rest of the market. And there's some things we could do here and there, but they're iterative. They're not like I don't enjoy that like individual tweaking as much. I'm pretty good at watering the garden, like I'm updating old blog posts, and I'm going in and making sure SEO is good and making sure Reddit comments are still positive, and I'm doing a lot of watering. But what would fire me up is, like we now here's a new opportunity. Here's like, let's go after this, because this one, there's not much more oil or gold to dig here. It's like we've gotten most of it, and now we've got a good business and it's growing. And, so I think another opportunity, I think a lot of it was just me wrestling with the podcast industry and going, I think there's actually not a lot more market to capture here.
Yeah, I can see that.
We could. There's still things we could do, but when I look at the levers we could pull, it's like, yeah, we could pull this lever and get into the ad market, but man, that would be a big deal, right? And
I feel like a lot of these big product changes for Transistor almost cross the line into like these are separate products.
That's the other feeling I'm getting is
because like even if like technically you could connect it to your existing Transistor product, I see that's a departure on the core job to be done.
Yeah,
like your customers today are coming to Transistor because they want to host their podcast.
Yeah.
It's not a given that every one of them also cares about advertising or even the video thing. I was thinking like that could maybe be thought of as like a separate product. Like yes, it could benefit your existing customers, but that positioning it as a separate product, you can start to market it as like, if you have
really
a
like
video
that.
problem, like come here for that. And
I really like that. 5, 4.
We need like an alarm or even like a warning too. Like a
like
a 2-minute warning too.
Warning.
Wrap it up.
Let's switch. Let's talk about what you were thinking about competition. I was kind of eager to talk about that.
Yeah. So like not necessarily like my competition. I guess that you might consider some, but like it's more like this, what to think of competitors in general. I've talked about this before on various podcasts, but I just tend to not care what competitors are doing. And also like I also try to avoid even looking at them a lot of the time.
Why is
even
that?
if I know them personally. Because I get pulled into those like I would say unhealthy thoughts of like, oh, what are they doing, or are they copying me, or am I going to be accused of copying them, or are we competing for the same customers, and am I better than them, or are they better than me? And I don't really care about all that. Like I only care about what my customers want and my ability to serve them something that's valuable, and also my personal taste on things. I guess, and I guess the thing I wanted to bring up here was because I receive a lot of inbound now through Builder Methods and Agent OS.
Yeah.
And so Agent OS it's an open source thing, but it's a product that it's aimed at spec-driven development. It's a tool, and I've been talking about spec-driven development for many months now. There are multiple, there's a few other frameworks that are similar in concept, or at least trying to target the idea of spec-driven development in AI. And there's a new one that just dropped this week from GitHub.
Okay. What's it called?
That one, I think it's called Spec Kit.
Spec Kit.
And they put someone on this like basically full time to be like the and he's doing YouTube videos and everything, which are blowing up. Because they're doing this like spec-driven framework tool. Open source, and it's interesting. I think it does some things. I did my video this week was like sort of my thoughts on how my approach is a little bit different from what you see out there with other tools. And this is me being competitive. But I do think that there are some like important like real world use cases that some of these things don't really address, and that I hear from customers and my own experience. But anyway, so with that popping up, what inevitably happens, I'm sure you see this with Transistor, is like people just messaging you like, hey, how's Transistor different from competitor X? Or competitor Y? Or what? Or hey, Justin, like, have you seen this hot new podcasting hosting startup? What do you think of them? And I know you're well-meaning when you send these kind of messages. But I don't care. I don't want to see it. I don't want to even have an opinion on what someone else is doing.
Interesting. Like, John, I think, is more sensitive to this than I am, and other people on the team actually have asked me even to stop, because sometimes I'm that guy in our Slack saying, "Oh, these guys are doing this and this." And they've asked me to stop because it affects them emotionally. For me, it hits a little bit different because I'm always interested in what's in the zeitgeist. What are people talking about? Why are they talking about it? Oh, well, these guys are, if these guys are getting a lot of word of mouth, it's just out there talk. I'm interested in that because I do want to think about how I'm going to react to it. I'll tell you, I am interested in, because I ask this a lot. When I'm on a call with a customer, I do always ask, what are the alternatives that you're looking at right now? On that call the other day with the team, looking to hire me to talk to their team of 500. I was like, okay, so you guys are expressing to me all these pain points that you have, and I'm getting a good understanding of them, and I have some ideas on how I can help. But I'm curious, like, what have you done? What are you doing? Have you hired any other consultants for this? Have you, have you enrolled in any other programs, or like, what are you seeing out there? And so that's, and then I also ask people about, like, when I'm in conversations about how they're adopting Agent OS in their team, I have asked about, like,
have you tried to adopt anything else? And first of all, like, I know of what the other competitors are, but I'm not going to feed that to them. I'm going to say, like, what are you seeing? What are you considering?
Yeah.
Because I want to know, like, which competitors are you actually even aware of, first of all?
Yeah.
And then second of all, they will name one or two, and they'll say, like, yeah, we looked at this one, we looked at that one, and I'll want to ask, what'd you think of it? How did it work? And then they will. It's a little bit hard because you got to take it with a grain of salt. They know that they're talking to me, so they're going to try to be nice. And what that means is they're going to try to point out the shortfalls of the competitors to me because they think that that's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
In fact, I probably actually want to hear what did work for you. But at the end of the day, it's like you're on this call with me, so there must have been something that fell short over there.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm always very interested to hear about my competitors from my customers. I want my customers to tell me, like, what do you see?
Yeah.
That's much more interesting to me. Like, even like with Clarity Flow, it's interesting because, like, there are a lot of competitors to Clarity Flow. Like, I know of a lot of them. Yeah. But a very, very small subset are even visible to my customers. Like, I know exactly which ones I think are huge companies that zero of my customers have ever brought up to me. Yeah. You know, and it's not just like they haven't run into them. It's like they must be marketing or doing the job to be done in a little bit different way that just didn't connect with my people.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is why having customer conversations is so helpful. That email I send to every new customer, you know, what's going on in your world that brought you here today. Often people tell me other options that they considered, and I always follow it up and say, why did you choose us? Like, what was it? And sometimes it is vibes. They're like, I just liked you guys' vibes better. Yep. And that might have been how they got treated in a onboarding call. It might have been how they got treated in chat. It might have been our website. They might have gone to our team section and saw our photo. They might have seen me on social media, and they just like the vibes. And that's interesting. Other times they'll say, oh, you know, they didn't have these features, or we were really looking for somebody that did this, or the fact that you had this podcast that uses your platform, that was the decision maker. Like, once I knew that so getting those frames of reference and feeling like, wow, this is how real humans are actually making decisions is fascinating. Because it can really be, oh, I love this podcast and you host it. So that, you know, I was deciding between you and three other companies, but yeah, I just decided to go with you because I love this show. It's like, man,
sometimes
that's
it's
arbitrary.
Like a speed thing. It's like, well, you're the one that I found today, and I wanted to get this done today. So, you know,
yeah, or you're the one that ChatGPT recommended, or you're the one. Yeah. I mean, that one's happening a lot, and or you're the one that Google recommended. So yeah, I think those conversations are so helpful.
The other point I wanted to make about competition is that even if they do exactly what my product does, and even if we share a lot of the same customers, and maybe they switch between us pretty frequently, or they consider us both all the time, I don't even think of it like a competition. Or at least I try not to. There's always the human element, like when I look at them and I might be jealous of this or that, or, you know. Yeah. But at the end of the day, when I step back and I'm like, what do I actually think? Like, I think a more healthy approach, and I have to remind myself to do this, is like, we should both exist. There's a reason we both exist. We're going to continue to exist. They're going to do great. I'm doing my thing over here. Yeah. I think the thing that triggered this for me was I had a YouTube comment. Okay. You know, what do you think about this? That's
how we should start every segment. Is what actually triggered this segment? I'm going to add that into my.
And usually it's going to be like, which YouTube comment triggered this? Yeah. And so, but it was like, hey, this hot new thing just launched, like, and they seem to be making lots of updates really quickly. And if you don't catch, it had the tone of like, if you don't respond to feedback and release as frequently as they are, as this big company is doing over there, then you're going to miss out, or you're not, or they're going to win. Yeah. And my first response was, well, they was also asking about like, how are you different? How are you better or worse? My first answer was, look, whichever one works for your workflow is the one you should choose.
Yeah.
Like if mine doesn't work for yours, then don't choose mine.
Yes.
That's number one. And then number two is like, I hope they do great. I think they're doing really interesting things. I'm not, I don't see it as a game to win or lose.
Yeah.
I know that like some people in business see it that way, and in certain contexts, you do have to try to dominate a market share to a point, and but like, that's not interesting to me. I'm much more interested in like winning on the best possible product.
Yeah.
For my customers.
Yeah, you know? I mean that's how the podcast industry is interesting in that we hang out together. So, we're all at the conference and we're hanging out together. We're spending time. We connect well with each other. I would consider many of my competitors my friends. But when it comes to our marketing and especially our customer service and our product, I'm absolutely competitive. I want to be better than them. I want the better product. I want the better customer service. I want our marketing to be reaching more people. I feel that competitiveness in that sense. And it leads to sometimes awkward situations where all of us have made comparison pages between each other. And every once in a while, I'll email someone and say, hey, come on, man, like, this is not really true. And they'll do the same for me. I do actually think this is a difference between me and maybe some other people on my team. I have a hunger to compete in this way. I'm not really competitive with sports. I wasn't really competitive with anything else in my life except for this. In business, there's something about like, I want to do better than these guys. I want to have a better product. I want more people to know about it. I want us to be the product that gets recommended the most.
How do you react when a competitor does something awesome? Like something that you like, if you're looking at a product that's not in your industry and they do something awesome, you look at it and like, oh, that's really well done. Yeah. Well designed. They executed that branding thing in a really good way. What happens when it's one of your competitors?
I think sometimes I'm like worried about it. I'm like, oh man, we got to think about that. Sometimes I'm like, let's wait and see. Let's see how this, and now I've been in it long enough. I know that not all of these big pushes produce any sort of meaningful results on the end. So you could have a big, cool feature that gets tons of press, and we've had those features, got tons of press. People loved it. Did it change our monthly signups that month? Nope, didn't. Yep. So I think I can see it through this lens of, and sometimes I'm like, that's a great feature. Like we should build our version of that. And like, let's get on that. Like that seems important.
Yep.
So, it's
cool.
Yeah.
I think that like it's interesting the competitive spirit, like where it comes from. For me, it's always been like competing with myself, trying to get better.
Yeah.
Trying to beat my personal best at whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whether it's revenue, whether it's product, whether it's like, and my craft.
I get motivated even by like silly things, like how often are we in the press? How often are we getting mentioned online? Things like that are motivating to me to feel like it's really motivating when someone says, I tried this other competitor. They were no good. Somebody recommended Transistor. I've been using you for a month and you're way better. I love that stuff. That's fuel for me.
It does burn me especially when I see churn and cancellation reasons, when they cite that like, we had to cancel because we're going to this competitor because we like the way that they handle your feature better than you do. And that like there's no way around it. Like that's gonna burn.
I think it burns. It burns people differently. I think it does burn John more than it burns me. For me, I'm more emotionally distant from that. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like people really seem to want that. I'm also always interested. Like, I wonder if they're going to come back. Maybe they'll come back.
If they cancel because they do something that we don't, I'm cool because it's like Yeah, I get it. Like,
Yeah.
I would cancel too because we don't do that. But when it's something that we do and it's like a core feature, they just like their version better.
Yeah.
That's like, ugh, all right, that stings.
Yeah. That was exactly 15 minutes.
Oh, all right, nice.
Do we want to talk about hiring, or is there something else you want to?
I sort of talked about it already with the video editor. Unless you have any thoughts, but
I think I'm good.
I think we got a good one here.
Anything else we should chat about, or did we do it?
I think we did it. Another marathon, an hour 43. Whoa.
Well, it was an hour and 43, but
I don't know how much was recording.
We started recording early, so we'll see how long the actual show was. But I kind of like this segments thing.
I do too. I want to like prepare for next time.
Yeah. Next time I got to make this collaborative. But yeah,
I expect you to vibe code it by tonight.
I mean, yeah, the the limitations of vibe coding are just so clear on this. Like,
I know. I've played with the V0s and a couple others, and as someone who builds stuff, with my hands, that those tools are very frustrating to me.
It's like even till the last build, the colors on this were all wrong, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And to get something like fixed, even if you highlight like, listen, there needs to be more contrast on this title. The other thing is that,
like, I'm all for building with AI in the code base itself, like in Claude Code or Cursor.
Yeah.
But typing into a box and expecting an app to come out,
yeah,
I don't buy it.
There was some cool things about it though, because I do find this step that's helpful is the having to describe to it what you want. And I think like this first part, just forcing me to articulate like, okay, build an app that I had to articulate it in as succinct a way I could while kind of spelling out what this thing is. And then as I'm interacting with it again, I have to kind of describe these interactions in a way that a machine would understand. It largely
has been interesting. One realization, again, this is an insight that I picked up from the sales call with the team, but it's something that I've had with on multiple sales calls with large teams, because I'm really asking a lot of questions about like, what does your workflow look like? How are you using AI so far with your team?
Mm-hmm.
I've been surprised to hear about more serious software companies using these tools, V0, Replit, and Lovable, because I always associated these with the indie hacker who's vibe coding, who doesn't know how to code anything, and they're going to put together this AI slop and ship whatever out of V0, right? But it turns out that these tools are being used on larger teams in the early prototyping phase.
Yes.
So whatever they're creating in V0 is nowhere near what they end up building and shipping to customers.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the product managers, the designers, the idea people who are going into V0 to whip up something so that they can go have a meeting about it with somebody in their department.
With an interactive demo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an interesting tool in that. Like, I never really thought of these in that context. Like, it's not... There's going to be the audience that uses it to actually try to ship a small feature in a small app in a weekend. Mm-hmm. But I think in the professional context, it's like a prototyping tool.
Yeah. Yeah. And I found it hugely helpful. It's so hard to describe to people what you want. And I've done it with TL Draw. I've done it with wireframing. I've done it by kind of quickly coding up a series of HTML screens. I've done it by, building the best MVP in Rails I could. But it was just so fast, and the feedback loop is so quick. It's like, no, I don't want that. I want this. And then to instantly be able to test it out with you like this, this is also fuel for me. Because then it's like, like it would be really great if Brian could collaborate on this. So that's a much more complicated app. Now we need multiple users. We need a way of figuring this out. And
I'm really curious to see how far you get with this thing.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah. I mean, we'll see if I think if I was actually going to build it for real, I would probably say, okay, let's make this. See, the interesting thing for you in this is that after I built this, I was like, oh, you know what I really want now is for Brian to help me get set up in the existing transistor code base with some sort of Claude or whatever, and then help me get like if this was a tool on a subdomain, but I wanted to use our UI and our way of building a Rails app and all that stuff, help me train the AI to do that so that I can start building
it's interesting
product in the transistor way with AI. That's going to be, it'll just be a tool that's on the footer of our website, right?
I think that is getting a lot easier and better now when you already have a reference point. There are now actually tools, like Claude Code itself is very good at you can give it an image, give it a screenshot of your interface, and it'll pick up details pretty well. And then this gets a little bit into the weeds. There's like a tool called Playwright, which actually lets your agent, it's like an MCP that you can use with Claude Code and Cursor and all these, which basically allows your agent to fire up a browser and click and test things on its own.
This is a Microsoft thing.
It's a Microsoft project that it basically gives you the ability to type into Claude Code and say, open this in a browser and check it at mobile screen sizes and click on this navigation and make sure the flow all works. Like you'll see it actually do that in the browser.
Interesting.
But just even giving it screenshots, you can say like make it look like this or use the same color scheme or style guide as what we're using. That's pretty good. What I'm interested in and still haven't felt good about the options now is the design phase. So if I'm working on a totally greenfield, like totally new product, I have not found a solid design, an AI-driven design tool that I feel better than just me going into Figma and creating something. Now I don't do that process very often. I usually just go straight into the browser and start designing in Tailwind and HTML and stuff. But when I do want to like mock something up from scratch, for like a totally new brand, totally new look and feel, V0 and like Replit and Lovable are supposed to be able to do this, and maybe they're better at it now. And there's other tools that are like it, but I'm just never happy with like verbally describing something and the output that it gets out. I'm like, I still want to go in there and tweak things, make it pixel perfect.
Yeah, I think you can upload.
And like Figma's built-in AI is not very great, not very useful right now. So that's the side of the stack that I think is still behind.
I noticed in V0 there's an add from Figma option or upload from computer.
That assumes that your design team has already created a mock-up in Figma. Yeah. So, but it's like the creation of the mock-up. How do we get there with AI?
There's also this design mode in V0. I need to check this out. Cool. Well,
yeah, man.
That's another panel.
Another segment. We got a bonus segment.
We got a little bonus
on vibe coding.
And by the way, I didn't think anybody was going to show up in the live chat. I got the announcement out late. Heck, we had so many people show up. We had Ryan Hefner, Casper, Daniel Roberts, Emmett, Zach Gilbert, Adam, a new Adam I haven't seen before.
Yeah, it's cool to see some new and familiar faces popping in here. It's awesome to see you guys.
Yeah, thanks so much. Ben Daly, Simon Bennett. There's a name. There's a name I haven't heard in a while. Well, I've heard it, but I think he's been building something new, I think. Thanks everyone for showing up.
I want to hear about it.
Yeah, we'll maybe have to have him on the program. All right, see y'all.
Thank you, folks.
Talk to you later.
All right.
Bye.
Later.